we begin with the question on an x-axis, what's the length and direction of an arrow from x equals 2 to x equals 9? Well, here we've got the point where x equals 2, the point where x equals 9, and it's implicit, but let's go ahead and label this as an x-axis. This is a y-axis. We'll label this as an x-axis, and we'll label this as a y-axis. Okay. And, you know, this picture is completely separate from this picture or this picture. Okay, so we got 1, 2, 3 separate pictures, and they're not connected in any way. Okay, from x equals 2 to x equals 9, well, we do an arrow here. And, of course, we understand that the length is 7, but how do we calculate that? Okay, well, we calculate that as 9 minus 2 equals 7. And that should be fairly obvious to anybody who understands a number line. Now, I subtracted 2 from 9 rather than subtracting 9 from 2. Why? Well, that gives me the length of the line if I subtract the lesser from the greater. However, if we want to get not only the length but the direction, then we have to be careful that we subtract the first from the second. Because if I asked for the length and direction of a line from x equals 9 to y equals 2, the direction would have to be negative, whereas here the direction is positive. And if I subtract the first from the second, the 9 from the 2, I get negative 7, which would be the length and direction of an arrow from x equals 9 to x equals 2. So we have to be careful about if we're going from one coordinate to another, we have to be careful to subtract the first from the second, the one we're starting at from the one we end at. Okay, so now we ask a question on the y-axis, length and direction of an arrow from y equals 4 to y equals negative 3. Well, 4 and negative 3 might be here on the y-axis. And if we go from 4 to negative 3, here's our arrow. Now that arrow goes in the negative direction, so to specify the direction, we could just say, well, that's negative, and negative how much? Well, we've got 4 here, and we got 3 units here. That's a total of 7 units, right? So that should be negative 7. From y equals 4 to y equals negative 3. And I'm going to call that a displacement. Is negative 7. Now, we can get that just by saying, well, we got 4 here, we got 3 here, and we're going in the negative direction. But to do it with a simple calculation, we would do negative 3 minus 4. Okay, subtracting the first from the second, subtracting the 4 from the negative 3. So we have negative 3 minus 4 equals negative 7. And that's our calculation. Okay, so now we want to calculate from A to B on the x-axis. Okay, well, then that's going to be, from A to B is going to be B minus A, subtracting the one we start at from the one we end at. Okay, what about from f of 2 to f of 7 on the y-axis? Well, from f of 2 to f of 7, our arrow would be like this, and we would depict that by f of 7 minus f of 2. Now, we don't know what f is. We don't know the rule for the function, assuming this is function. And we can't do any more than this with the given information, but we understand that to go from here to here, this direction, and we don't know. We don't even know that f of 7 is less than f of 2. We might, well, and we're getting blurry here. How does this happen? Let's see. Come on. I'm all out of focus. There we go. Okay. Sometimes I worry that it's just me that's out of focus, but the board is out of focus too, so I feel better. Okay, so We don't know that f of 7 is less than f of 2. Could well be that f of 7 is greater than f of 2 and the arrow really goes this way. If we do f of 7 minus f of 2 and we have a way of evaluating f of 7 and f of 2, the calculation will tell us which way to go, which way we go if we go from f of 2 to f of 7. If it's positive, we go up. If it's negative, we go down. And what's going on with this camera? This really shouldn't be happening. Okay. Yeah, that's kind of strange. If there's just a blank board here, that's not something that usually happens. Okay, I'm going to pause this just in case the camera goes funny on me and I don't notice. In fact, I'm going to stop this video here and we'll go on in the subsequent video.